Okay, tonight I'm going to talk to you guys about the new systems that we have in our Cessna aircrafts. It's the Avidyne IFD 550. I'm going to go over a little bit about ADSB, what systems we have in our aircrafts, so everyone understands the different components. Then we are going to go into a little detail about the different parts of the Avidyne, the IFD 550. We have the Avidyne 550, which is the best model basically out there. It has a synthetic vision. The 540 does not have this button down here. So that's how you can tell the difference if it's a 540 or a 550. We have all three of them are 550. And the nice thing about it is it has an attitude reference system. So this thing actually can detect pitch and roll. So if you fly off this thing, you can. There is a little slip indicator right here, and then you can get the pitch and roll on this IFD. And then we go to the flight planning, and I'll show you how to make user waypoints. And actually, you can draw holes on this thing. I'm going to show you how to do that for IFR pilots. Okay, a little bit about ADSB. As I don't know how many of you know about this, but basically the ADSB is built on two different frequencies. One is a 1090, and the other one is a 978 frequency. The 978 is found only in United States. No place in the world has 978. And the reason FAA did that because we have so many aircrafts, general aviation aircrafts, that it was tying up the 1090 bandwidth. So they came up with the 978 for the basically general aviation. And most of the ADSB that is out there is going to transmit out on 1090, and then you can receive either on both bands, or in our case, it's only going to receive on 978, which I'm going to go into details as how it receives that to show both traffic. Now the ADSB band, it can receive air-to-air as long as they have the same frequency, or it can pick up the information from the ground station, which has more data in it. The nice thing about the 978, it comes with it also receives the weather information. So we do have weather information on our Avidynes, which I'm going to show you how to get to those a little bit later. Now there is a little thing called FISB, which is a Flight Information Services broadcast, which is all the aircrafts that don't have ADSB and they're in the radar coverage. The ground station receives that signal, and then it transmits it to our aircrafts, so we can pick up a non-ADSB air traffic. Now there is a limitation on that. The limitations are the non-ADSB aircraft, it has to be in the radar coverage. It's advisory only, it's not for traffic separation. And also, it lags behind ADSB. It's lagging by about 13 seconds. And what that means, you may see the traffic before it shows on your IFD if the other aircraft does not have ADSB, and this is the only means of receiving it. The other interesting fact that I just found out is in order to receive the data from the ground station, the ground station has to receive a signal from the aircraft that has the ADSB, for example, our aircraft. It has to be transmitting that that I do have some kind of ADSB, I'm sending it out. And also it has to tell the ground station that it's missing one of the links. If it has both links in, like the one in 7 Papa uniform or 3-4 Zulu, we have dual band in, it won't receive any information from the ground station. It only receives air-to-air traffic information. The only thing it receives is the weather information and all this TSB or FISB traffic. And that's that slide that shows you. And also the other limitation is you have to be in this hockey puck, which is 30 nautical miles in radius, and it's only 3,500 feet in height. If you're missing, if the traffic is not within that hockey puck, you won't receive it. So if for some reason, if you see that TSB with a red circle in our aircraft, it doesn't mean the system is broken. It means the traffic is not within this little hockey puck.
That's only for non-ADSB.
It's for both. It's for both. ADSB and yeah, the ground station takes the information and calculates it. And it has to be within this parameter before it sends the information to your aircraft.
Because ADSB broadcasts to the ground, and ground beams it up to your aircraft versus TCAS, which is
Okay.
Now, if there is an aircraft that is not equipped with ADSB and you don't see it, it's whether either, I mean, you don't see it on your display, but you see it outside, it might be in the lag mode, that 13-second lag mode. I said something wrong. TSB is the traffic information system. FISB is the weather information, a couple of slides back. That was a wrong slide in there. This should be TSB, not FISB. Okay, in our aircrafts, we have the components we have 3 different components that they all talk to each other. We have the IFD 550. Then we have the transponder, which is the APX 340. It's the panel mount transponder. It's not a remote one. And then that's the ADSB out. And we have another component, which is the ADSB in. In 4 Mike Echo, we have the ADSB in Skytrax. In 3 Mike Echo and 99J, we have the Foreflight Ranger 978 box. Functionally, they're both the same. They're different manufacturer. And granted, the one that's in blue, it looks cooler. Other than that, they're the same thing. Now, if for some reason you're not receiving information, traffic information is through those 2 boxes on the bottom, the MLB 100 or the Ranger 978. And you have to realize these are all computer-based. Sometimes they do glitches, and they just have to reboot, and they're back online. It doesn't mean it's broken if you don't get information. It's good to know about that if you get it constantly, so we can take a look at it. But other than that, there is possibility that these will malfunction.
Can you reboot them by a breaker?
You have to turn the whole panel on, which I don't think is a good idea because it takes forever to boot in the middle of IMC. Let's talk about a little bit about AXP 340. This model has a function button. We have a stopwatch, flight timer. If you click on that function button, you can go through all these little tools that is built in. We have an altitude monitor, and the lightening, the dimming light, and then important part, we have a pressure altitude. It's not the true altitude that is reading on the display. And this last one is an important one. the ADSB monitor, and I'll show you why. As you can see in this slide, you can see the latitude and longitude on the ADSB panel, on the transponder panel. That means it's transmitting the ADSB information out. If you see that, that means your ADSB out is not working. It has to get a signal from the GPS. And sometimes, for some reason, if you're just first starting it, you may see those lines. If you're in a bad area, you don't get the GPS signal, you will see that that screen. If you see that screen, that means the ATC is not getting any transponder information from you, or any ADSB information from you.
But still, you're still pinging 1200.
You're still pinging at 1200, yes, but the ADSB portion is not working. Okay, now let's talk about a little bit about different buttons. And so let's start with the top knob. This is the volume, the squelch, and also the and then the bottom one is the frequency switch. If you hold this knob for about 3 seconds, it will turn off the unit.
You push it in.
You just push it in and hold it, it will turn off the unit. Then we have the 4 line select keys down here, and these line select keys, if they have a function lit up next to it, that line select key works on that function. It will cycle through the through that menu. Other than that, like for these two, they don't do anything. The nice thing about IFD 550 is anything you can do by touching the screen, you can do using the knobs, which is good for turbulent weather. And this knob down here on the left-hand side and the bottom, that's the your NavCom frequency changer. You can dial in and tune in your NavCom on this with this dial. Then we have the page select buttons on the bottom. One cool thing about this, I don't know how many people know this, I just found out. Not only these are a push button, they're also a toggle button. You can actually, if you push on the edges, it will go through the tabs instead of using your fingers on the screen. You can actually use these tabs. I'm going to show you a little bit later on. And then we have the on the other side we have dedicated function keys right here. And this is your CDI navigation selector. And this is an ambient light sensor. If this is too dim at nighttime, if you shine a flash right here, right, it will brighten up. And on the bottom, we have a context-sensitive knob, which it will basically use as it acts as like a mouse button.
So it'll articulate like a mouse? You push it one way and down or?
No, it won't. But you can turn it and twist it, push it.
Oh.
And to switch from localizer to GPS, you just push in on that top right button, and it changes the
on this right here, if you turn it, it will change from GPS to VLOC.
Oh,
it's a turn. If you push it, it turns to OBS mode.
Okay.
Let me go to this other screen. On this screen, on the main screen, we have the NavCom frequencies up here. And then we have the user data blocks, which is one down here. These are all customizable, which I'm going to go through how to customize it. There is a user nav block, block data up here. And then there should be one down here if you go on the map. which you can select different things like the minimum altitude or local time. This is a GPS track. So you can customize all these to your liking, which we're gonna show a little bit later on. And then we got the little tabs on the bottom of the each page. And this is what I was showing. You can probably won't be able to see, but I'm showing just the corner of this button.
It works.
And it will go back and forth through these tabs. So in case if you don't want to use your fingers on this, which is kind of hard, you can just push the buttons. It's a toggle switch.
Specifically the map button.
No, all of them.
All of them do the same.
All of them do the same thing. On each page, for example, on the aux page, it will go through the aux tabs. This is a little nice feature that this thing has. If you notice on the bottom of, you won't see it on this screen because we are not hooked up to the VORs, but you can see the Van Nuys airport Van Nuys tower frequency, and it does say what frequency it is. Now, if you were hooked up to the VORs, you can actually see the VNY underneath the 113.10. That's the Van Nuys VOR. And then you can see the IVNY, which is the I for ILS. Now, the only way these identifiers are going to show is the IFD 550. It listens to the Morse code, and it will decode it for you. So that actually counts as a tune identifying monitor. So if you don't have to listen to it. If you don't see it, that means it's not picking it up. If you see it, that means it did pick up the Morse code, and it will decode it for you. And it will do it in both frequency, in the backup frequency as far as and also as the selected frequency. That's a nice, cool feature when you're landing. You want to in an IMC. That's nice. The other nice thing about this is right here. This little user block data. It shows the VOR that is selected in the active frequency, the radial you're on, and also the distance. And it's nice because it acts up as like a backup gauge for you. Because regardless of whether you selected the GPS or the VLOC, it will show you that information, which is a backup.
If you're not using the VOR and you have a waypoint, how do you put that waypoint in there with the distance and the heading?
You have to actually go and change it in the user selection. You have to switch this block. Or you can use it on or you can set it up in one of these. Because I like this one, especially when you're doing an IFR departure out of Van Nuys. You have to be on a radial of 102 of Fillmore before you can climb and start your turn. Half the time, that needle, the second needle, is going all over the place. So I'm kind of guessing when I'm at 102 and I can start turning or I can climb. With this in here, you can easily pick up the DME from the Van Nuys VOR, and as soon as it reaches, I think it's 2.7, you can start your 2.2. Okay, this little box here, it's the nav mode. In this case, it says ENRT, that's en route, and that's your CDI deflection scale. For the en route, you have a 2 nautical miles, the full CDI deflection. That means you're 2 miles off of the center, 2 nautical miles. If it's at the terminal, it's 1.0 nautical miles. And then for the approach, is either 0.3 or 2 degrees, whichever is less.
Does that change automatically?
This will change automatically based on your flight plan and what leg of the flight plan you're on.
James,
Yes.
if somebody, I mean, there's 60 members, if everybody goes in and
Figures it?
changes one thing, and then it totally gets not user-friendly, is there an easy way to do, like reset it to
Default.
something?
I don't think there is an easy default mode,
Okay,
but I was going to talk about that
okay.
in a little bit as far as the what we should change, what we shouldn't change, and based on what I learned, I think I'm gonna make my own little cheat sheet of how the settings should be, and every time before I fly, I would make sure that the settings match
Oh, cool.
my preference.
We'll sell it on eBay.
We will sell it on.
Doesn't this have the memory you can upload or download to it?
It does. You can download and upload checklists, and I believe you can download and upload user settings.
That'd be something.
Okay, this aux button down here, all these buttons are color coded, and especially for the aux, because all the alerts are going to be underneath the aux. And there are 3 different colors. There is a red, a yellow, and a blue color that this aux button is going to turn. If you get a red color flashing at you, there is some kind of warning. You better act on it. It's like, for example, in my slide right here, it says there is a mountain ahead of you. You need to act on it immediately. And it should actually, the oral sound should come out of your headset also. It says train pull up, train pull up. I don't know. I haven't heard it yet because I haven't gone that close to the ground.
But it's set up to, that we should hear it through the headset?
Yes.
It works.
It works?
It works.
Oh, you tried it? You didn't hit anything?
Yeah, on Saturday morning.
Yeah. So it will
Because
flash red.
our overly busy control
Airport.
tower vectored me into the mountain out there.
Oh,
Yeah.
so it works.
Yes.
Yeah, the yellow is the caution. And then the blue is just the advisory, like class Charlie ahead. It will warn you about that. Or if you're getting to class Bravo, it says class Bravo ahead.
Can you clear them or check them off or something?
Yeah, once, if you press on the aux button and then you go to the alerts, right here, you can see this alert right here. If you click on it, you can,
You physically touch the screen? Is that-
you physically touch the screen. Well, this one is data link is not received and it's
Yeah.
still active, so I can delete it. But if something like traffic, you can delete it.
Are you going to cover silencing traffic alerts, or can I ask a question about that?
Okay, silencing traffic alert in 4 Mike Echo is very annoying.
Yeah,
There is a new software update that's supposed to come out.
it was maddening. Like I was going
And-
through Bravo,
Yeah.
LA, and then SMA.
I know it was, I was flying over LAX the other night and traffic.
Yeah.
I was about to say no crap, I can see it. It's underneath me. That should be resolved. The other two don't do it because they have the upgraded version of the software. For Mike Echo, as soon as we get the upgrade on it, it will stop doing that.
Okay.
I know, it's very annoying. So let's go through the little screens. The first one, SVS, that's your synthetic vision screen. And with this new software, the software upgrade, you're going to be actually getting this data block on the synthetic vision. Right now, none of our aircraft is going to have this band on it yet. So this is something new in this software. And let's start with the aux, so I can show you about the user setup. Underneath the aux, we have the audio, utility setup, system, and alerts. Alerts we already talked about. Oh, there is a traffic alert. You click on it and it will go away. For the audio, obviously it's active. You can adjust the audio volume here. This is where you can shut off that traffic alert for now. Yes.
A quick question. So say someone shuts all the audio alerts off and then I fly the plane next. Well, when you reset or you shut off the avionics and turn them back on, does it reset to, or is it kind of saves it?
It saves it. So that's why I'm saying it's a good idea to set it the way you like it, make a little checklist, and then just go through it really fast before you start. That's what I'm gonna do. And then under the utility, we have different timers that you can select. You have different calculations or calculators that you can use. And then we have a checklist, which we can actually create checklists in here. I don't know how many people are going to read checklists off this tiny screen, but that's an option we can do. And if the checklist is good enough, we can transfer it from here to the other two aircrafts.
How did you switch screens there?
Oh, I see it. It's right here.
On the-
Tabs on the side.
Oh,
On the side right here.
line select keys.
You can either use the line select keys in this case, or you can just click on the screen.
Right.
It will
When
change.
you import checklists, or you have to build them out in the interface?
You have to build it out in here, and then you can export it from here to the other aircraft.
Okay.
Oh, can't go the other way.
Then what auto record flight time?
So auto record flight time goes on the transponder.
Okay.
The flight time that I showed you on the transponder itself, as soon as you get to a certain speed, it will start counting. Okay, this is the option, the setup page with all the options in there, which we can set. There are 5 users in here, and as Wasi was talking, if maybe we can all come to an agreement that nobody should touch user number 1, and we'll just set it up as some kind of a factory default for our club. And if something happens, you can always go to user 1, and you know half of this stuff is going to work. Well, assuming nobody messed with it. This is where you can set up these little data blocks that I was talking about. If you click on it with your finger, and this is two waypoint information. This is what you were talking about, Ira. So in this screen, it's on the top, or you can change it.
How did you get to that again, James?
It's on the setup, and then you click on the data block setup.
Yeah, you just said in your flight plan.
Okay.
Right.
You put a flight.
And if you click on this little things, it will change it. See these little items, let's say designated waypoint. You just click on it, it will change that. Okay.
And this is to change the data set in that right column?
Right column, or this one, or the 2 on the top. This band on the top, you can change it.
Is there a VNAV option, like the set alert option, should VNAV in 530?
Yes, it's in the flight plan. You can set like cross 5 miles before, at or above. You can do that in the flight
I'll
plan.
tell you when it's ready.
Yes, you can do that in the.
Oh, great.
I'm gonna go over that. Okay. And then we have a map set up, which you can turn on and off different options on the map, like how many VORs it's gonna show and.
Terrain ahead. Pull up.
Pull up.
What up? Now these I don't recommend anyone messing with it, because on the map itself you can turn them on and off, but this should be some kind of a standard settings so we can get all the, I mean everyone gets the same thing. And then if you click on the system and you click on the software status or the database status, it will show if the databases are expired or not, in case if you miss the first screen. When you load it, this is how you can check it again. And then this page, it will show you the GPS status. And this is your data link legend. This is that weather information that we were getting from 978. If you're getting the METAR and the weather, the airports are going to have this little flags on them. And based on the color coding, you can tell if it's a VFR, marginal VFR, IFR. Okay, it will actually show you on on your destination airport.
James?
Yes.
Is it possible to manually change the brightness of the screen in case something all of a sudden happens?
Yes, that's in the that was in the setup option. In the user options, right here, it's right now it's grayed out because it said display mode is on auto. So if you change this to manual, you can actually go there and change their user control.
Okay. Then
And you can change the backlight, yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Which is actually good. I don't like this sensor, because what happened to me when I first started for Mike Echo about like a year ago, and for some reason that engine monitor is very, very dim.
Yes.
And I saw, damn, I can't see what I'm doing. So I used my flashlight and shine the light through the little hole, and all of a sudden
It comes
everything.
on by default, it's very dim. You have to manually set that one up to bright too.
Yeah. So
In the
that.
daytime, it's fine.
So that was the issue with it. It went really dim. I couldn't see. I couldn't read the little labels. So I used my flashlight, and it turned bright, and then I could adjust it. Yeah, I don't like to use the little sensor. Yeah. So these are the things that hopefully, if we can leave on user one, we'll use these as a control, user controlled, instead of auto dim. So we don't have any problems. And one other thing, since we are on this screen, you see this map orientation is heading up.
Yeah.
Okay, in our aircraft, this is actually grayed out. Because in order for this to work, you have to actually start rolling, because right now if it's sitting there and you push it, it will change, but the map orientation doesn't change until you start rolling. Then it will know it will change. So let's go to the map section. So if you go to the map selection, we have we have a synthetic vision on this screen. If you click on it, the map comes up, and with your data information sheet, which we can customize. Here's another nice thing about Avidyne. It has a split screen, which means you can show the map and some data on the same screen, which is very nice. Usually when I fly in this mode, because I have all my little data on the site.
You prefer that map look?
Depends. If I'm flying a flight plan, sometimes no. I go to my flight plan map. Okay, even though when you put your flight plan in here, you can actually see it on that map as well. Now, if the map is too cluttered, you can turn things on and off on these with these two buttons, and you can actually turn the ground detail completely off, and the nav items you can turn off completely, so you can actually have a better map of where you're flying, and if you have a flight plan, it will show your flight plan. And then here's the other cool part, which is the charts. You actually have an airport chart or airport map on the Avidyne itself, and it will show your aircraft on the runways and taxiways. So it's a geotrack chart. And if there is a published approach or departure, you can change it by clicking on this, select charts. You can, and this one you can see all the different approaches and departures that you have and arrivals. It's kind of tiny, but it's nice because it will, let's see, like the ILS approach. It will actually show your aircraft following this line. You can fly it. And these are Jeppesen charts, so if you're not familiar with it, it's a little bit hectic to read it first, but you can get used to it. And you can change the different views by clicking on the little line select keys. If you want to see the profile view, view minimums, and view all. Any questions?
Every time I go to chart, I get a chart initialization failed. Is that just my iPad?
It's your iPad because you have to download the demo charts. So that's all the buttons and the pages and the tabs on the IFD 550.
How do they clean that screen when sometimes you get on the plane, there's all kinds of fingerprints on it? They recommend anything special thing?
It has to be 50-50 solution of isopropyl alcohol and water.
Oh, really?
So I was going to make some and leave it in each plane.
Oh, cool.
Please don't.
What are like the alcohol wipes? You use alcohol wipes in dentists? What are those? What are the ratio on those?
I don't know what the ratio is on
We
those.
might be able to order some of those because I've seen those little screen cleaners, and they're just like the alcohol wipes. Like they'll get like really cheap.
And clean it.
Or,
Yeah.
or the little sprayers and tubs that you get at the combination.
You gotta be careful what sprayer
Yeah.
you use
Well, no,
with the alcohol in it.
Pre-mixed to the standard.
The alcohol, yeah.
Yeah.
Please don't spit on it. I'm just kidding. Okay. This is how you can connect your Foreflight to the Avidyne, so you can upload your flight plans. And with the new software that is supposed to be released soon, you're actually going to be able to get the traffic data on your Foreflight as well.
So you need no Stratus then?
Excuse me?
So you don't need to bring Stratus in?
You can take it as a backup, but most likely you won't need it. Because right now, the only thing it shows is the GPS location. And also, you're going to be able to upload and download your flight plans.
Yeah.
But other than that, it doesn't have any other functions. So when you first get inside the aircraft and you turn it on, you see that banner in there. It says allow, ignore, Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. Now the iPads, they connect to your IFD 550 through the Wi-Fi only. The Bluetooth is for a keyboard. And I have the keyboards. We have to figure out how to put it in the aircraft so they don't walk away. They're very tiny. In fact, I brought them tonight to show it to you. But we haven't been able to. I just talked to Patrick. I said, how can you secure this thing without the thing walking away?
How functional is it? Is it something we need to put in the plane?
I don't think it's going to be that functional.
Yeah.
It's kind of, I think it's more of a gimmick than a functionality thing, but it does have a direct to button. It has all the buttons on it. So the Bluetooth is only for that little keyboard. It doesn't connect to your iPad. So if you try to connect your iPad with the Bluetooth, nothing is going to happen.
So if you connect it with using Wi-Fi, you no longer can use your Stratus or Sentry, right?
Exactly. So it's either
one or the other.
one or the other. You can hook up to two iPads to your Avidyne. Okay. So if you have, I'll show you the IFD 100 in a minute. So we can hook up your Foreflight and IFD 100.
Do you suggest until the new software update with the link to Foreflight, just connect to this to upload or download your flight plan one way or another and then go to your Sentry?
That would be, yeah, you can do it that way.
Until
the software is updated, that you can get the benefit. The only nice thing about it is I do get the weather on it from the Avidyne. Right now, with the way the software is, you can get the GPS and also the weather information. So you can get the weather updates into your app.
I used it with FlyQ this last weekend, and it seemed seamless to me.
Mm-hmm.
I was getting all the traffic, I was getting all the weather, and it was, you know.
Oh, with the flight queue, it shows the traffic?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So, so I had all the traffic up on my iPad.
Yeah, with the Foreflight, I know it doesn't. So you press allow, and then you have to go to your Wi-Fi setting. And that's another thing I'm going to talk to Patrick to make all these names uniform. Because right now, one of them has 8 ball with the capital E, and this one says Cessna 182S. It's kind of, we'll make them all uniform with Cessna 414 Mike Echo, I think, with the tail numbers. So we know which one it is. So you connect to your, make sure you connect it. And then you actually have to see this little icon.
Yes.
If you don't see this little icon, the 2 circles with the little plus in the center of it, that means you're not connected. You have to see that, and then you can click on it, and you will see this little drop-down menu, and you can either send your flight plan to the IFD, or you can download from it. If you build it on your IFD, you can download it to your Foreflight. Once the data is uploaded, it says route upload ready. And then you have to click on the FMS, and then you have to go to the routes right here. And you see the route that you uploaded, or the flight plan that you uploaded. It's going to be highlighted. And then from there, if you click on the flight plan itself, it will show you all the legs to make sure that the right flight plan got transferred in here. Okay? Now, once you made sure everything is there, you have to go back to the list, and then you have to activate the route. You have to make sure you press that activating the route. Otherwise, the flight plan will not load.
Where was the activate button?
It was next to the, it's right here.
Okay.
You select it, and then you click activate. Now if you,
enter doesn't do it?
excuse me?
Enter doesn't do it.
I don't think, no, enter doesn't work. You have to actually activate. So that's about it. Now, another cool app that we have, it's actually this app. You won't be able to see anything because it's not connected to the IFD 100, but this guy is actually using one. It's right there.
What is it?
It's it's the IFD 100. It basically duplicates what you can see on your IFD 550.
Oh, wow.
And it becomes independent as well, which means you can go through the map pages or aux pages independent of what you're seeing on your IFD. So for example, in one of my flights to San Francisco, I had synthetic vision on this, and I had my flight plan on that. So it was, I could see both pictures.
And they talk to each other?
They talk to each other. So this will count as one of the iPads that is connected to your IFD. Because you can only connect two iPads to it. And the traffic and everything should be showing on this iPad with this software.
Was that an iPad app? That was IFP 100?
It is an iPad app, yes.
Okay.
Now, if you're running IFD 100, it will interfere with the Foreflight. So you can only run Foreflight or IFD 100.
One or the other, on the same iPad.
On the same iPad, yeah. And I was just talking to our treasurer. He's a very nice guy. He told me if we stop going through tires and starters maybe so much, we can get 3 iPads and put them in each aircraft and make it like a full glass aircraft almost. So we can have this one mounted on the the co-pilot side, and have it tilted so you can see it, and we're gonna have a nice cockpit. And I think 2 full-size iPads are gonna fit in the 182 and then mini one for the 172.
So stop slamming on the brakes so we can handle that.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. So to make a flight plan, you go to the FMS page and you go to the route, and you just click on the icon. It says new route, and you can name it just whatever you want. I'll leave it as new. Any place you press on the black screen, you will see this little thin line. The thin lines are insert, and then I'll show you how to, for the edit, it's a box. So if the first one, you're gonna have the origin on it. So let's say KVNY. Another.
It's real quickly too.
Yeah, another cool part about this Avidyne is it has a geofill. So based on your location and based on the GPS, it will know which airport you're near. So as soon as you start typing, it will pick it up. So if I was in East Coast and I try to put KV, it will probably pick something up from East Coast airports, not the Van Nuys airport. So this is already populated. And the next time you click on it, you can either add waypoints or you have your departure procedures, which you can load. Let's do Canoga 2, and then we're going to do Fillmore transition. And we're going to be flying out of runway 16 right. Another cool feature about this is, let me show you something. Let's say you put 16 right and you listen to the ADAS and they're actually flying out of 34 left. So as soon as you change the runway by just clicking on it and you change to 34 left, it would automatically adjust your departure. You don't have to load it again. It just flipped it for me. from the other side. Now, if I was getting the data link on this IFD, which we do in the aircraft, you would see that little flag that we were talking about, the little blue flag or red flag. And if you click on it, it would tell you the METARs and the and the TAFs on it.
That's really cool.
Okay. The other cool thing is, you see this little torn paper down here? That means there are charts associated with this airport. So if you click on that paper, it will take you down to the charts.
That's really
And it's the Canoga 2 departure because that's the one I selected.
cool. And there are JEP charts loaded.
The JEPS charts are loaded into the into each aircraft.
JEP charts or NOS charts?
It's JEP.
Really?
Yeah. We don't have the icon because I'm not getting the data link, but if there was, there would be a flag up here. And if you click on it, it would do this exact same thing that I just did to this little button, but it will take you to this page. It will take you to this info page. And right here, it has like different information about the airport, and the weather is on the bottom.
Is it possibly higher ups like icing or anything, or does it not do that during this?
If it depends on what comes out of that fizz sensor. If it is, if they're reporting icing, if there is data in it, it will report it for you.
Okay.
It actually has little, the little flags will actually show up on the map, and you can click on it, and it will show you the weather for that section of the map. Okay? So let's continue with this. Again, we're going to click on any black spot, and the waypoint is going to be, let's go to Camarillo. KCMA, as you can see, it filled it up already. And now, if you see there are two boxes up here, one is arrival, one is approach. If you click on the arrival, if there is any arrival procedure, you can load that. And if you click on the approach, it has all the approaches for Camarillo Airport. So let's do RNAV Zulu. And we're going to do initial approach fix, Savannah. And again, you see this little paper, it's going to take you to the same, if you click on it, it will take you to the RNAV Zulu approach chart. So
Does it overlay charts on the map, or is it dedicated chart page?
No, just a dedicated chart page. So we made, I just made my little flight plan. In order to load this flight plan, you have to go back to the route list, and you have to activate it. And you click activate. There we go. There is the little flight plan. And it's going from runway 34, because that's what we set it.
I found weather overlay. You go to the map.
It does, but we don't have any data, so it won't show anything. In the plane, in the aircraft itself, it will show you. See that little on the slide right here on the TV? You see that little flag?
It's a windsock.
It's a windsock flag. Yeah. If you click on it, it will tell you about the weather. We already talked about this part. Let's say you want to edit something. This is part of the approach, so you can't really edit any of the approach, published approach or published departure legs or waypoints. But let's make a waypoint here so I can edit.
Check real quick.
Yes.
If those boxes are really small to touch while you're flying, the little knob on the right, you move around the little boxes, and the big knob you can jump into each one of these flight legs.
Oh yeah, this little
Yeah.
knob in here, you can, yeah, anything you can, as I said before, anything you can do by touching the screen, you can use these knobs to control it. Oh, cool. This actually has this part in it too. Let me talk about this gapping route. If there are two different, for example, this is a VNAV, this is a GPS approach. If you're having two different waypoints of two different kinds, one is a VNAV, one is a GPS, you will see this gapping route. You have to manually go there and delete it. Otherwise, the flight plan is not going to sequence through. Once it gets to this gap, it doesn't know what to do. So you have to click on the gap, and as you can see, it says connect Fillmore and Suwana together. So you click on it, and now that gap is gone. If you forget to do that, you will notice that your flight plan is not advancing. And you were talking about the levels. This is where you can actually set. So to edit a waypoint, you just click on the box. Once you see this blue outline box around it, that means it's ready for edit. Let's say you want to cross Suwana at certain altitude.
4,000.
Excuse me?
4,000.
4,000.
Always 4,000.
So we have at, you can change this at or below, at or above, or at exactly. And let's say 4,000. And now, if you look on your map, you see there is a little 4,000 mark.
Nice.
Right there.
Will the autopilot automatically default to a certain descent or ascent rate?
No.
So you set that as well.
Excuse me?
You set like your descent rate in
the autopilot, yeah.
Imagine it alerts you.
Yes, actually, if you're off on the altitude, on crossing Suwana, there is a little thing, it comes and it says altitude is wrong. Adjust your altitude. Okay? This is what I was just talking about, the vertical constraint. And we did this, the arrival and the departure.
Some minimums already built in, because I didn't put that in.
And this is the approach. Okay. Now, Kevin, you were talking about that little where it tells you how to descend. If your descent rate, let's say 500 feet per minute, you see that little ring right there?
The green thing?
That,
Yeah.
That's where you're going to hit it.
that green thing?
That's your,
It will tell you if I was descending at 500 feet per minute, by the time I get to that part of the map, I should be at my desired altitude of like 3,000 or 4,000, whatever I set it.
and you set it the same way in the flight plan you went to.
It will show it automatically.
And the green ring
Walk
tells you.
terrain ahead. Pull up. Terrain.
I won't descend everywhere.
Excuse me?
In the flight plan section, you go into each waypoint, you go through the detail, you put in the at or above.
Right.
And then that green bow shows up.
Shows up.
And when you cross that bow, you start your descent, or?
No, if you start descending at like right where you are at 500 feet, By the time you get to that red or green
You'll
boat,
be at 4,000.
you will be at 4,000.
So if you increase your descent, that boat moves
That
on
will
your
move.
map.
Exactly.
Okay, so there's no alert that'll tell you to start your descent? You just-
No. No. Now, all the, if you look, all the published approaches and departures, they have the altitude minimums in it, so it already fills into the chart by itself. Okay, user waypoints. We can have up to 500 user waypoints added to this system. Please don't add junk in there. Because I just looked at for Mike Echo, it has like a bunch of them in there, and it looks like somebody just sat there and
My
kept,
house.
yeah, and somebody sat there and just kept pushing PPOS. That is for present position. And if you click on that, it just makes a waypoint for you at exactly where you are. And the way the waypoints are named, it's WP, it's a 5-digit or 5-character long. You can't put any more than 5 characters in there. I don't recommend changing the name. I would recommend leaving it as a WP001 or 002, whatever.
What defaults to the
It will default to that.
How do you put it like a top of descent waypoint in? Can you do that?
You can do that, but
You can't project a waypoint, you have to do present position to get it.
yeah.
So you have to fly over it.
So, and then you can put a little description on the bottom of what this is. Let's say this is Paul's house.
Gotcha.
So we can go there and there.
Land in his
James, can you
backyard.
edit the longitude values?
You can,
So that's how you program
but how would you know which latitude, longitude you are?
well, if you have
It's
it,
hard.
if you have a
Before you
waypoint
go.
set up.
Yeah, you can do it that way. Now here is the cool one. If you click on new, and let's say you want to, okay, let's do the special flight rule. Let's assume that Santa Monica VOR is out, and we want to fly the GPS. But how do you know where to get out? So if you go to our map, our Foreflight, and let's measure on this radial. And I usually think about Hawthorne as safe place, that we're out of the special flight rule area. That's about 7.7 nautical miles. So we call it, excuse me?
From LAX?
From Santa Monica VOR
Okay.
to the exit point is about 7.7.
Yeah.
You can see it right there. Let's call it 8. So we go in here and let's put it like a special flight rule.
There actually is a VP waypoint that's pretty close out of the Hawthorne one. There's another one right there that's almost exactly on the
Where it is.
132.
But on here, you can see it says change the format. Right now it's latitude, longitude. You can change it to a fix with a radial and distance. You can change it to a radial, and a fix. So let's say our fix is going to be Santa Monica's, is SMO.
Yeah.
And the radial is going to be 132. And the distance we just measured 8.
That's really neat.
So if you put this in your flight plan,
Yeah.
and if you fly from Santa Monica to this waypoint, you're exactly at 132 radial, and you know where to exit. Once you get to that waypoint, you're done.
Is
So that's-
user waypoint one of the options on the flight plan?
Excuse me?
Is user waypoint
Oh, yes.
one of the options? And also, Victor Airways are also an option.
The Victor Airways is also, yes.
Yeah.
So if you have a bunch of waypoints in a Victor Airway, instead of putting all of them, you can just put Victor 12, and then you can choose an exit point,
Right.
and it will fill in all the waypoints for you. You don't have to go there and do them one by one. Okay, so let's Avidyne SMO, and then that waypoint was WP 002.
If you didn't know that, is there a place to pull up a user waypoint list or no?
Just on the right here where it says waypoints.
Okay.
That's why I'm saying please don't keep pushing present position, and you have like 2,000 waypoints. Oh, you can't. You can have 500. You have 499, and you can't find the one that you want. And then let's go to Hawthorne. This is good. And if I activate this,
Nice.
and you will see the little radio, and you can fly that. Okay? Now another cool thing about this is, let's say you want to do a hold. Basically this thing will draw a hold for you at any user waypoint, any VOR, any other GPS waypoints. You can do a hold on it. And let's say you want to hold at 10 DME off of 275 radial of Van Nuys. So we'll make a user waypoint again. Let's change this to a fix. It's a VNY. And then we'll 275. And then distance is 10. And enter. Now let's go to our flight plan and enter this waypoint in there. Now if you see my waypoint that I just made in there. Sorry, if you go to the insert with the little line and hold on it, hold your finger on it, you see it says hold at waypoint 003. You click on it, and what it did, it just threw the hold for me. I'll show you on the map, but this is a standard hold. We're going to hold east of the waypoint we just made. There is the waypoint, and then it shows you the entry also.
Right turn here.
Yeah, it's the right turn waypoint, and we're going to hold on east of that waypoint we just made.
Sorry, James, but can you show that one more time?
They sure. You just you click insert, and you click so that line comes up, and then you hold your finger on it.
You can also press the enter button, I think.
No, you have to press this knob.
That knob?
Yeah. And you say hold at this waypoint.
Okay, thank you.
And if you want, you can change.
Right to left, or
You can change it. Let's say 90, which is going to be hold west of that waypoint. You can change the turns to the left turn instead of right. You can even change the time. You can change it to 5 minutes, which is normal nowadays with the runway closure. And that's it. There it
Is
is.
that a 5-minute leg or for 5 minutes?
5-minute leg.
Okay.
There. See how long it is now?
Mhm.
And it actually drew the entry for you. It's a teardrop entry.
How do you save a flight plan and then go back and get it?
Any flight plan you enter, it's already saved. So if you go in
Even though
here,
you just said new, it still remembers it as.
well, no,
New and
once,
activate, right?
No.
It stays
no,
in
it
there.
stays
You
in
don't
here,
have to activate it.
but if you want to use it, you have to activate it. But that's another thing. I think we should, after we're done with our flight plans, we should delete it. And that's it. Any questions?
Thank you.
I hope it was helpful.
Very
And
helpful. Very extremely helpful.
before we break, I would like to thank our maintenance officer and our current board and the previous board. I'm not thanking myself. And Mark Cheer for putting a lot of time and effort, and all the other people who did all the research about these.
Mark, sure you did at the time.
And yes, and Wasi, all the time we spend on researching which system to buy and all that. We are not in, we're still far away from 2020, about 8 months or so, but all of our aircraft are 2020 ready with the state-of-art equipment in there. Thank you for all the hard work for everyone, and